I own a Pokemon card shop. Yesterday, I fought a Scalper, gave a speech about community, and pooped myself all over like the bad boy that I am. Cops were called. My name's Jesse. I own a Pokemon card shop. I've been running my dirty little shop for a few years now. It's not fancy. One room, glass cases, peg hooks, a beat-up table in the back where kids play in the Pokemon League on Saturdays. It's a pretty sweet gig. Buy low, sell high, keep the weirdos out. Easy money. I grew up on trading card games, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, whatever I could trade for at lunch. This shop isn't about getting rich. It's about community. It's about kids pulling their first holo, parents reliving their childhood, regulars who stop by just to talk about deck ideas and bad pulls, which is why the current Pokemon market hurts so much. If you don't know, Pokemon cards are hot, like irrationally hot. MSRP product vanishes instantly. Booster boxes, tins, anything remotely desirable gets wiped out. They buy everything at retail and flip it online for 2 to 3 times the price within hours. They're called scalpers. Everyone hates them. They turn a fun hobby into a stress test. I do my best to fight that. Purchase limits, staggered releases, reserving Pokemon product for League kids, selling at MSRP when I can, even though I could charge market. I've been yelled at, threatened, review bombed, accused of gatekeeping cardboard. Still worth it. Until yesterday. This big dirty scalper showed up before we even opened. I know the type instantly. Folding camp chair, phone in hand, refreshing resale listings. He had been in line since 2 a.m., which in our plaza means sitting alone in the dark next to a vape shop. Basically, a loser. A Pokemon set called Phantasmal Flames was released on this day. When I opened the door, he rushed in like the floor might collapse behind him. I was first, he said. No hello, no eye contact, just entitlement. I explained the limits calmly. Only 1 trainer box per person and 1 booster bundle per person. Same rules as always. He didn't like that. That's bullshit, he said. I waited all night. I told him that was his choice. I told him the rules were posted online. I told him kids would be coming after school and I wanted stock left for them. They're the ones who actually keep the store running by hanging out there, buying snacks. That's when he snapped. He started ranting about how this is America, how supply and demand works, how I'm leaving money on the table. He said if I didn't sell him everything, someone else would. He called me stupid. He called me emotional. He told me to get a real business degree. And then, this part still makes my hands shake, he leaned over the counter and said, I don't even like Pokemon. I just need the product. Something in me broke. I launched into what I can only describe as a full TED Talk about scalping, about how kids save allowance money, about how parents just want to surprise their kid with a box, about how destroying accessibility kills long-term communities, about how short-term profit poisons everything it touches. I was pacing. I was loud. Customers who walked in were staring. A kid in a stupid little Bulbasaur shirt looked terrified, and then my body betrayed me. I felt it before it happened, a hot, sinking feeling in my stomach, the kind you get when adrenaline and bad gas team up against you. I tried to keep talking. I really did. I was in the middle of saying something about shared spaces when my legs locked up. I pooped myself. Not a joke poop. Not a little accident. A commitment. The kind that makes you instantly aware. Like you ever hit the chocolate ice cream machine at an all-you-can-eat restaurant and just watch the chocolate snake out of there? It was like that. The smell hit like a stage hazard. Conversation stopped. The scalper paused mid-smirk. What the hell? He said. I froze. This was my shop, my speech, my moment. And now there was a very real, very human reminder that I am not above biology. The scalper started laughing. Loud. Cruel. He pulled out his phone. Said something about, this is going viral. Maybe, but it already got bacterial, and I don't give an F about stupid TikTok. He said he'd waited all night for this shit, which felt deeply unfair given the circumstances. The situation escalated fast. I moved around the counter to usher him out. He squared up like we were about to duel for honor instead of dignity. Customers were shouting. Someone yelled that they were calling the cops. The kid was crying. And through all of it, there I was, pants ruined, shop smelling like a biohazard, still trying to defend Pokemon ethics. The scalper shoved me. Not hard, but enough. I slipped and fell on my ass. Luckily, I had padding in my pants, so I didn't get hurt, but it did worsen the poop situation. At this point, everyone was backing away like I was a cursed object. The police arrived about 10 minutes later, which felt like an hour. They separated us. They asked questions. They took statements. The scalper tried to argue that he was the victim. One officer glanced at my pants, then at him and said, Buddy, no. He was trespassed. No charges, but banned from the plaza. The officer was kind to me, embarrassingly kind. He said stress does things to people. He said he's seen worse. I don't believe him, but I appreciated the attempt. After everyone left, I cried. Here's the thing, though. Later that night, a parent messaged the shop page, said their kid was there, said I handled things bravely, said the community needs people like me. A league regular dropped off clean pants this morning without saying a word. Kids still came in after school. I'm humiliated. I'm exhausted. I'm human. But I still believe in this hobby. I still believe that community matters more than market price. And apparently, I believe it so strongly that my body is willing to self-destruct in protest. Pokemon is still fun. Scalpers still suck. And if you're going to camp out overnight for cardboard you don't even like, please know that sometimes karma doesn't come as a lesson. Sometimes it comes as a smell. Update. Thanks for the downvotes, idiots. Anyway, I wish this was fake. I met the scalper's mother. We slept together. Really. So I didn't plan on writing an update. Honestly, after the police incident, the poo-poo that fell out of my silly little butthole, the scalper ban, and the internet doing what it does best, I figured the story would die quietly. I cleaned the shop, I replaced the rug, I issued refunds to traumatized customers. Life moved on in the awkward, limping way it always does after public humiliation. Then the scalper's mother walked into my store. I didn't know who she was at first. She came in the next afternoon, well-dressed, maybe mid-50s, calm energy, not angry. She just stood there for a second. She asked, very politely, "Are you the owner?" I said yes, already bracing myself. She sighed and said, "I think my son was here yesterday." That's when my soul briefly left my body. I started apologizing immediately. I told her I was sorry it escalated, sorry she was dragged into it, sorry about the viral internet clips, sorry about Opposum Bud and PokeNE making videos about it, everything. She stopped me mid-sentence. "I'm not here to yell," she said. "I'm here to apologize to you." She explained that her son had been unemployed for a while, that he'd gotten obsessed with flipping collectibles, that she'd tried to tell him it wasn't healthy. She said, and I quote, "He's very good at waiting in lines and very bad at understanding people." I secretly thought she was just a terrible mother, but I didn't say it out loud because she was defending me and because she was kind of hot. Not hot in a hot kind of way. Hot in a 3 a.m. and I'm bored kind of hot. We talked, actually talked, about Pokemon in the 90s, about how she used to buy packs for him when he was little, about how he stopped playing and started optimizing, about how hobbies turn sour when profit becomes the point. At some point, she said, "Subscribe to this YouTube channel so I can pay my water bill." Just kidding. At some point, she said, "This place matters to you. I can tell." No one had said that to me in days. She stayed longer than I expected. Bought a few singles for nostalgia. Asked about League Night. Asked how business actually works. We ended up sitting at the back table, just talking while the shop was empty. Here's the part where it gets unreal. When she stood up to leave, she hesitated. Then she asked if I wanted to grab dinner. Not as an apology, not to talk about her son, just dinner. I said yes before my brain could intervene. Dinner turned into drinks. Drinks turned into laughing about how absurd life gets when you care too much about things that don't love you back. We talked about burnout, about community, about starting over in your 40s and 50s, about how embarrassing moments sometimes crack you open instead of destroying you. I told her about the poop. She did not flinch. She said, "Stress does that," and ordered another round. One thing led to another. I won't get graphic. This is still Reddit. But yes, we went back to my place. Yes, we spent the night together. No, Pokemon cards were not involved in any way that would make this story worse than it already is, except for the fact that my shop hoodie was on the floor the entire time. The next morning, she made coffee. She asked if I was okay. Actually okay. No one had asked me that since the incident. Before she left, she said something I haven't been able to stop thinking about. "My son thinks everything is a transaction. You don't. That's why you're tired." I don't know what this means yet. I don't know if this is a one-time universe is messing with me situation or the start of something real. I don't know how her son will react if he ever finds out the guy he tried to bully over Pokemon cards ended up having breakfast with his mom. What I do know is this: the shop is still open. League night is still Friday. Kids still laugh when they pull bad cards. Scalpers are still banned. And somehow, out of the most humiliating day of my adult life, something unexpectedly gentle grew. Life is weird. The Pokemon market is still insane. And I am once again begging everyone to remember that behind every counter, every line, every argument over cardboard, there is a human being. Sometimes a very stressed one. Sometimes one who has learned the hard way that escalation comes in many forms, and not all of them are fights. Final update. She betrayed me. I lost the shop, but I got the last laugh. I didn't want there to be a final update. I really didn't. I thought the worst part of this saga was behind me. The fight, the poo-poo from my butt incident, the police, the scalper, the unexpected romance that felt like a cosmic apology. For a brief, fragile window, I thought maybe the universe had balanced itself out. It hadn't. It was just winding up again. Things with her continued after that night. Slowly, carefully, coffee a few times a week. Long talks in the shop after closing. She never brought up her son directly, and I didn't push. I thought that was respect. I thought we were building something outside of that whole mess. Looking back, that was my first mistake. The second mistake was trusting her alone in the store. It was a slow weekday. I stepped out back to take a phone call about distro allocations. One of those calls where you're begging for scraps like a medieval peasant asking for grain. I was gone maybe 5 minutes. When I came back in, the lights were still on. The front door was locked, and the smell hit me before the betrayal did. She was standing near the counter. My sealed Pokemon product was gone. The vintage singles case was empty. My personal binder, the one I never sell from, was missing. She looked at me, calm, sad, resolute. Then she said it. "We could have been together," she told me, voice steady, "if you hadn't betrayed my son." I didn't even understand what she meant at first. I tried to explain again that I wasn't betraying him, that I was protecting kids, the community, the hobby. She cut me off. "You humiliated him," she said. "He went viral on TikTok and no one is talking about how much of a handsome boy he is. They're only talking about you pooping yourself. You made him look small. You chose fame over him." I said, "Lady, I just pooped myself. It ain't that deep, yo." And then she locked eyes with me and pooped. Right there, on the shop floor. Deliberately, slowly, like punctuation. And because she was a little older, it came out a little slower and was a weird texture. Yuck. "I needed you to feel it," she said. What he felt. Then she slowly backed away, leaving through the back door with my cards. I didn't chase her. I couldn't. I just stood there in my shop, my dream, surrounded by empty shelves, ruined flooring, and the final confirmation that the Pokemon god Arceus had fully turned against me. Arceus. Arceus. However the hell you say that name. I think House pronounced it properly in that one episode. So I filed a police report. It went nowhere. Cards are hard to trace. Love is harder. I closed early that day and didn't reopen for a week. When I came back, I made the hardest decision of my life. I sold what little was left. The signage, the fixtures, the Pokemon IP license. My remaining collection, years of memories, pulls, trades, childhood joy, went in one final bulk sale. I watched it disappear into boxes like a funeral procession, and I quit. I gave up on Pokemon, not because I stopped loving it, but because loving it hurt too much. The next day, I opened the same damn store back up. This time, it's a Magic the Gathering shop. And here's the thing no one tells you. Magic players are different. They smell like poop as much as they want, and nobody laughs. Nobody films. Nothing goes viral. Someone just argues about some commander card being too busted. In Magic, poop is not a moral failing. It's just another bored state. I don't fight scalpers anymore. I don't lecture about community. I just run a space where people can exist, mess and all, where cardboard doesn't pretend to be innocent, where the fantasy is honest about what it costs. I still miss Pokemon sometimes. I still miss who I was before all of this, but I sleep at night now. And if there's one lesson I've learned, one true final takeaway, it's this. Never trust a person who thinks everything is a transaction, and never build your dream on a hobby that doesn't forgive weakness. Magic does. Seriously, subscribe so I can pay my water bill. God, I'm so broke it's not even funny. I'm a cart pusher at a retail store in the winter. I need this.